Welcome back to Webcertain TV. I'm Gemma Houghton, and today I'm joined by Fernando Gonzalo, who is client manager at B Republic, and we're going to be discussing social ads and how to make the most of them. Hi, Fernando. Thank you for being here.
Hello, it's a pleasure.
So, social ads, we know that they are becoming more and more popular. Just how much are they being used at the moment, and how important are they for marketers?
They are growing a lot, especially because of the mobile devices. And I read a report last week that it was made by Forseats, a company that in the last survey they said that in the first quarter of this year, the investment in social ads has increased 60%. That's a lot. That's really good for Mark Zuckerberg. Good for him.
Yeah, yeah. So it's obviously a very important and popular trend. Why is it becoming so big? Like you said, it's partly because of mobile, but what is it about social ads that make users click?
Of course, I think that segmentation is the main point that they have, especially because with social ads, you can connect with your audience because you know who they are, and you can show them just the thing that they are expecting from you. So I think that's the most important thing for social ads.
And we talk about social, but of course there are a very wide number of different platforms on which you can advertise, and obviously different target audiences use different ones. So how, as a brand, do you work out which ones are the most appropriate for you?
Well, now the battle is Facebook versus Google. And it means Facebook, Instagram, Google, YouTube. So there's a war. From one side, the video war, and the other one, like the performance war, let's say like that way. And in both cases, they offer different things. So it's not just choosing, I'm going to use Facebook or Google. You can do both. So our recommendation is to test and analyze, measure everything, and then decide. And normally the answer that you will get is do campaigns in both sites or both companies. Maybe it's Facebook, maybe it's Instagram, but it depends on, especially on your goals, the goals that you have, and the budget. There are a lot of things, but you don't need to choose.
And what about other platforms, so Twitter, LinkedIn? Now we've got up and coming things like Snapchat and Pinterest. How do they fit into that?
Imagine that you want to reach CEOs, for example, and you should go to LinkedIn. It doesn't make sense to look for them in Facebook, for example, or in Snapchat. Imagine that. But if you want reach, for example, you have a lot of money and you need as much reach as you can, and Facebook is your place. And especially if you want a good segmentation, Facebook is the place with better segmentation. But Snapchat is great as well for younger people. Instagram is the social network with more engagement of all of them. So if you know perfect what you want to get from this social network, it's quite easy to at least your first trial.
Yeah.
Right?
And it might be that you realise that for this campaign and this objective, we would use Facebook, but actually there's another campaign where a different platform would be more relevant, and you have to adapt it to each type of goal you're trying to achieve.
For sure, and you can start with one platform. Maybe you have an awareness campaign and you want people to watch your video, and you choose YouTube. That's right. Yeah. But then you need performance, and you want people to go to your e-commerce and buy. And maybe you use Facebook ads at that point.
Yeah. So it's a journey as well.
Yeah,
it's not
it's
a one-off.
Exactly. It's the customer journey, and if you are aware of your funnel and which platforms you are going to use
for which part,
and in every phase, that's quite easy to develop at that point.
And then the other thing to think about, or the maybe more challenging point, is now, because we know everyone's using social, that's great, but there is everybody then advertising on social, which means there is a lot of advertising and a real huge amount of competition to kind of grab the attention of that user. So what are some of your tips and advice for kind of what makes it really compelling and innovative social ad?
Well, it's true that there are a lot of brands advertising in all the networks, and it's difficult to make a difference. But since everybody are launching new things, like new segmentations, new formats, you need to be very, very quick to use the things that are new. For example, Sony Pictures was the first company to run a campaign with a 360 degrees video in Snapchat. Yeah. And of course, it was great for them. They got a lot of notoriety, and it was a slap for their competitors because they were the first one.
And once they come and then do it afterwards, it doesn't have the same impact because we've seen this already.
Now, in that moment, you need to do it better because you are not the first one.
So if you want to be the first one, what as a marketer should you be thinking about to think about what do we do that no one else is doing? Where do you come up with that idea?
Well, the big companies, the big agencies, they are constantly talking with Facebook, Google, and they know in advance
what's going to come,
the new things that are going to come. And normally they let you try this, and especially because they are the most important part of this business. Like, we want you to use this format, so we're going to give you this opportunity to be the first one, or at least to be in the top 10 of advertisers.
And if you're not a big business, which most people aren't, and that you're a smaller brand, you don't have the money to produce, really big budget or big expensive campaigns, and also you wouldn't have that first advantage. What can you still do to make sure that you can still stand out even if you're not the first with a new idea?
Maybe your objective is not to be the most creative one and the first one. What you need to get is results. So you should run A/B test and check different images, different call to actions, and at the end of the moment, what you will get is the campaign that I did in this social platform was great in terms of results. And it doesn't matter if you were the most creative one or the first one to use a format. At least if you're working for a brand that is going to pay you and show me your results. Okay.
Yeah, so it's about understanding what your audience in that platform would want and making sure that whatever you do, you give them what they need. And that doesn't necessarily have to be the most creative or off-the-wall idea. It just has to be something that matters to them.
Of course, it's important to use new formats because everybody loves new things.
Yeah.
So if you see just a plain picture, you're not going to say like, oh, wow, this is a picture. But if you see a picture that is moving with cinemagraph or doing something different, it's like, wow, what is this? And maybe that got your attention. And after that, because you just got the attention of the user. After that, you need him to do the thing that you want, like read this copy, click, buy, whatever. But at least you have got his attention. It's important.
And in terms of measuring the performance of social campaigns, obviously you will have your defined goals. You will know, is this a brand awareness campaign? Is it a conversion campaign? Whatever it might be. How do you measure campaigns, and what do you learn from those measurements? How do you make sure that you are taking that data and using it as effectively as you can for future campaigns?
I think that, first of all, if you are doing A/B testings and trying different platforms, you need to analyze everything and write your results, and then you need to have a unique platform for a measuring tool, because otherwise you might count a conversion, for example, twice.
Yeah.
So it's important because all the platforms have their own measure system, like Facebook with Business Manager, whatever. But if you don't have something like Google Analytics, for example, where you can say, okay, I'm going to count the conversion this way, with this method, every time doing the same. Yeah. Then you will say, okay, this conversion was made by Facebook at the first time, but then the last click was made by Google. So with that system, you will have always that information, and you will be learning every time.
Yeah, because that's the most important. You can't really take the data from each platform separately and look at it and compare it, because it's all different. It's not going to give you accurate results.
You can just do it only in Google if you are running an AdWords campaign and analytics, because since it's the same company, you have it checked. Yeah. Otherwise, if you do it with Facebook, you need to do it manually.
It's pretty difficult. And you mentioned before about the 360-degree Sonic Pictures ad that was really exciting. Which brands do you think are good examples for us to go and look at, maybe who do really well with social, that kind of continually manage to produce something that makes people go, wow, that's exciting?
Here in Spain, there's a good example of a company. It's Playground. It's a magazine, and they were, maybe, I don't know if they were the first, but at least the top 10 first media to create a kind of video with images and text with big letters. And now there's in our market a type of video that say is a video like Playground. It's a playground video. That's a great success for them. Yeah. It's like Kleenex, for example. You don't give me a tissue, give me a Kleenex. Wow, they got that territory. So they did that with this kind of video, and now in your timeline you can see many examples of this kind of playground video.
Yeah, there's not many brands that probably will achieve that, but if you can, it's certainly something that's going to make you stand out and give you a massive advantage.
Yeah, of course. They didn't invent it, that format, but they are using it a lot, and now they have positions with that.
Yeah, so that's another kind of bit of advice, I suppose, is to really look at what the opportunities are, maybe look at what your competitors are and aren't doing, and see where you could do something a bit different, and really focus on that and make that something that, make that your own almost, take ownership of it, and that will help you to kind of stand out and get some notice.
It's always good to do new things, but my point of view, it's better to do good things and things with good results.
Yeah.
For example, now Facebook has launched a new format. It's called the Facebook Messenger ads. So now you can take people from an ad to Facebook Messenger. It means that from your app, you can take them to a place where they can interact with the brand and talk.
Yeah.
What the companies are doing now is introducing an automatic bot in that equation. Yeah. So now, in terms of business, that's a great opportunity because it's automatic.
Yeah.
And then you have a user that is talking with the brand, asking whatever, and of course, buying on that platform.
Yeah.
So if we do it now, we are not going to be the first ones to do it, but we know that it's working.
Yeah, and if you do it well and you invest in it properly, it doesn't matter, it'll still work for your audience.
Of course.
Great. Well, thank you very much for sharing that with us today. It was great to talk to you.
It was a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.